For all my knife lovers out here, there are certain blades you love, and then there are those you flat out fantasize about. Well, this video is gonna fall into the I fantasized about it category. We're gonna be looking at the Little Evil from Work Tuff Gear. Stick around. I'll tell you what, my friend, it's gotten right cool here in the rolling hills of Virginia, but I want to talk about something red hot, and that is this blade. Whoa, look at that thing. This is a knife that is named after a UFC fighter, actually. Jens Pulver, Little Evil. And I'll tell you what, if I was him, I'd be greatly honored. A 7.3-inch Bowler K329 steel blade. And this is the larger version. There's a 5.75-inch blade one out there as well, I do believe. A couple of things I want to say up front. Number one, I'm going to drop a link in the description for you to go out and look at this. Just examine all the specs that I may or may not cover. Number two, I'm not trying to sell you this knife. I'm celebrating this knife. I bought this with my own cash. I had to have it, and that's why I'm making this video. If I do sell you on it, cool, that's on you though. Props to Zeke Manacho on the design of this knife. I think it's just dang near perfect. How's it marketed? Well, it's right in the title. It's a fighter. It's a fighting knife. But obviously, this blade can do everything, and you can look at that recurve blade there and really see where this is going to excel in some hard slicing and chopping. This weighs 15 ounces, and look at the Skull Crusher pommel on that handle. And as rough as that is, it's still mercy compared to the business end. Now this has got a pretty good size handle on it. It's right thick, but for me, it allows me, I can get down on the end of this for a more lengthy chop if I wanted to, or if I'm working, you know, you can really get a nice grip on the end of that to do that kind of work. Or you can choke up on it. Whatever you want to do, man, that's a meaty handle no matter which way you look at it. I will by no means compare this to a tracker knife. They're not the same. But a lot of the things in the past that drew me to trackers, I think are better displayed in this design. For example, in the movie The Hunted, the tracker knife was kind of presented as an all-purpose knife. Combat, bushcraft, all-purpose in the woods. But after working with those kinds of blades for a while, I've come to the place to where I kind of just see them as a hybrid between a knife and a hatchet, and I really don't view it anymore as a combat style knife. I look at its limitations such as piercing and even the continuity of slicing. Although a tracker knife does have that hook type ability, it's got the ability to hook and then slice. I just believe if we were to take a tracker and actually mold it into a combat style knife, this is what you would want. For there are no combative limitations. It's a piercing machine and a perfect slicer. We could also make a slight contrast between this and some of your smaller kukri knives. We love the curve in a kukri that gives us the power and that swing and the chop and the slice, but they're not the best piercing objects either. Again, this has a good piercing tip with that curve in the blade. I recently reviewed an EF 151 from F & Grow and made some mild comparisons, although they're not the same. They're not the same blade. There are some differences, but after I worked with the EF 151, I went out that day and bought me a Little Evil. I didn't even take a second thought about it. I didn't buy this to beat against trees and bushcraft with. I bought it because I collect fighting knives. But you better believe it will excel there for you as well. It's built for those tasks, and you will love chopping with this kind of blade. I'm not going to chop with my Little Evil, but I did some chopping with the EF 151 because it's got a similar curve here, and it's just an amazing chopper. Now, these are not always going to be in stock like a cold steel production style knife. This particular design here was a November 18th drop, so I went out just a few days after that and bought mine. It was about $250. Great lock-in Kydex sheath. And I love the belt loop here. I love that a lot. Y'all know I'm not a Tech Lock fan if you watch my channel. I'll use one. I have just found them to be a lot more bulky and more uncomfortable than a belt loop style sheath like this. One of the reasons that is the case is because this rides along my waistline and the blade doesn't ride up my back. The Little Evil is movie worthy. I wouldn't be shocked if this thing shows up in a good action flick. It should. You can just see this bad boy in motion. I won't ramble on. You've got a good look at the blade, its sharpness, its dynamic, its sheath, and its essence. Props to all the guys that I have seen showcasing a lot of Work Tuff gear, like Scab at Choir Boys Cutlery Outdoors, as well as Stein versus Knives, which I think Scab sent him some blades to review. His channel's growing, he's hilarious, and props to him as well. Go check out those channels if you're not subscribed. I love combat knives, and there's no way that I wasn't adding the fabulous Little Evil from Work Tuff Gear to my arsenal. I think this one is still available. What do you think about the Little Evil, and what are your favorite Work Tuff Gear designs? Take care, my friend. We'll catch you in the next video.